A Florida man killed his roommate for not bringing drugs to the football party. A Florida woman punched an alligator to save her puppy. A Florida man scuba diver robbed a Disney restaurant and swam away. And a 70-year-old Florida woman bites a pitbull to save her dog. These are the weird stories on Friday on Weird AF News. They all have a theme. They're from one state, that is Florida, because on Friday I only do weird news from Florida on Weird AF News. We call it Florida Friday on Weird AF News, presenting all the weird news this week from one state, our favorite state, Florida. Here we go. A Florida man killed his roommate for not bringing drugs to their football party. And can you blame him? I mean, how else are you going to get through a Miami Dolphins game? You need drugs, hardcore drugs. Some NFL teams are that hard to watch, and the Dolphins are one of them. We have a Florida man charged with first-degree murder of his roommate. His name is Mark Burkhart. Mark Burkhart. It's a great Boston name. 54 years old, Mark Burkhart. He was charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action, unlawful possession of a firearm, and resistant arrest for a felony. A lot of good AR words in there. Burkhart, it seems, allegedly killed his roommate after they both went to watch a college football game at a small gathering. The 54-year-old Florida man became very agitated with his roommate for not bringing household items and drugs to this football event. Well, I think we need more information. Did it specifically say bring drugs and household items in the RSVP? Household items is the funny part. What household items? Where is my meth and where is the Swiffer, Jerry? I specifically told you to bring cocaine and a spatula. What part of that didn't you understand? What is a football party without these items? Okay, so the Florida man was agitated that his roommate didn't bring drugs and household items, which it doesn't say what those are, those household items. We only have to imagine. Police say that Burkhart then shot his roommate on the street. Well, that escalated quickly. Did you bring my drugs? No drugs? Bang. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes in Florida, right? Drugs don't kill people. A lack of drugs kill people, as I've been saying for many years. Now, according to the report, after Burkhart shot his roommate, he then waited for the police to arrive on the scene. It's very un-Florida man-like to just wait there. Usually they flee the scene, and then they catch him like 2 blocks away. They never flee too far. They usually kind of linger in the area for some reason. While arrested, Burkhart said that his roommate was being reckless, and this had been an accident. So I think you're pretty reckless, Burkhart, if I'm being honest. I mean, what's more reckless than just spontaneously shooting your roommate for forgetting household items and party favors? The police say that Burkhart told them the shooting was the result of a long buildup of frustration against his roommate. Oh, I wonder what the roommate did that annoyed this extremely unbalanced, psychopathic Florida man. I mean, I'm sure it was something worthy of a homicide, right? I mean, you know, making noise in your bedroom, leaving dishes uncleaned in the sink. I mean, you know, the things that roommates can do that can just annoy you to the point where you just, so I started blasting, you know, that sort of scene. So I started blasting. I mean, it always makes sense when you just get into the details of what made the Florida man. So I started blasting. It's like, I told this guy again and again that he's got to bring some paper towels, and then he didn't bring paper towels or my drugs, and so I started blasting. Good job, Burkhart. Good job, buddy. Way to think things through, Florida man. Kill your roommate, and that'll make sure he never brings home drugs for you. A Florida woman punched an alligator to save her puppy. What a badass. A Florida woman jumped into action after an alligator dragged her little puppy. This was while she was walking her little puppy. Her name is Danny White, this Florida woman, badass. She was taking her 4-month-old puppy for a walk along a creek behind her house when a 5-foot alligator bit her dog's collar and then began to drag the puppy underwater. Just a question up top. What was Danny doing walking her 4-month-old puppy along a creek in Florida? Is this her first week living in Florida? What's wrong with you, lady? Obviously, an alligator is going to jump out and grab your puppy. Everybody knows that because there's alligators everywhere. I wrote a song about it. You can't just be walking your little critters along creeks in Florida, along swamps, along riverbeds, streams, little spigots. You can't even bring them around spigots. I'd imagine no body of water is safe. I would even say not even a kiddie pool in Florida. You got to check a kiddie pool for gators before you dip your toe in as well. All of the water has gators in Florida, even septic systems, I'd imagine. So you can't be too safe. Let's jump back into the story and get some details about this Florida woman who, although she's not very bright, she's pretty tough. Danny saw her puppy get dragged under the water, and that's when she acted fast. She jumped into the water and punched the alligator in the eye. It says specifically in the eye. Here's Danny's quote. I just punched and punched and punched that gator, and I punched him in the eye enough that he kind of let go. He unclamped a little, but his teeth were like here, and they just dragged down my arm. You see, I got these bites here. Oh, wow, Danny sacrificing her own person to save her little puppy. That's love right there, guys. That's puppy love. According to Danny, the alligator was able to camouflage itself in the floating water moss, which resembled turf. She said this was the first time she had seen an alligator in the area. Trappers and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission arrived, and they caught the alligator. Just another day for you and me in Gatorland. Wildlife officials said it's very common for alligators to target small dogs. Danny, the Florida woman, is now encouraging dog owners to be more alert, especially when walking near water. Duh. She says, I learned to be more alert because of this. Leave your phone at home, pay attention. Well, you shouldn't leave your phone at home, because you might get pulled by an alligator and you might want to call a friend. I have a feeling that Danny's very new to Florida. She's doing things and saying things that you shouldn't if you are a resident of Florida and you want to live. You don't walk along creeks with your puppy. And you don't leave your house without your phone, because it's only a matter of time before a Florida man follows you home with his junk swaying in that warm Florida breeze.
And Doug.
Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu? Is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
A Florida man wearing scuba diving gear robbed a Disney Springs restaurant and then swam away. The story is out of Lake Buena Vista. Not to be confused with Del Boca Vista. And if you got that reference, we can be best friends. Let's get some information about this scuba diving heist. Seems pretty brilliant on the surface. Investigators are searching for a man who robbed a popular Disney Springs restaurant after it closed. Sources familiar with the investigation say they believe this Florida man, swam up to the Paddlefish restaurant shortly after midnight, stole thousands of dollars, then scuba dived away. It's called the old splash and grab, right? Well, it's a tough economy when people are robbing restaurants in scuba gear. This is, wow. Oh, I wonder if they caught this guy. I like to imagine that he's grabbed the money, put his scuba gear back on, and swam to a submarine, which then traveled deep, deep under the sea and into some sort of sea lab in a cave. That's right, a sea lab. Underneath the water, sea lab, underneath the water. Okay, let's get into the report, because this is really wild. I want to know exactly how it went down. A report by the deputies indicated that this man, this salty bandit, found a place to store his wetsuit and scuba gear before walking into the restaurant manager's office, where the cash from the night was being counted and deposited into a safe. The report shows the man forced two employees to go to the corner of the room, told them to close their eyes. The man then took all of the cash, which they estimate was between $10,000 and $20,000, and he left within 2 minutes. The employees called 911 after freeing themselves. Freeing themselves from what? When he told you to freeze? Freeze! Okay, how long do I have to be frozen? Give me 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes, I'll freeze. But as soon as you leave, I'm going to call Aquaman, just letting you know, bro. Now, it says neither of the employees were hurt during this ordeal. The man did not brandish any weapons, they claim. This guy came in and robbed you without any weapons? You just give him the cash? Wow, these sounds like really reliable managers. It says, after leaving the replica steamboat restaurant. Oh, the restaurant is a replica steamboat. Investigators believe the man put on his scuba gear and jumped back into the pond. A search for the man immediately after the robbery was reported, yielding no results. Well, the police don't have a scuba department, do they? I don't know. It's Florida. Maybe they do. They have a gator department. They got a meth department. I'd imagine in Florida, each police department just has like 3 or 4 officers that just are on call for anything that goes down at a Waffle House. In other words, they get very niche. All right, back to the steamboat restaurant piracy escapades. Can you call this piracy if the robber does not flee on a boat? I got a lot of questions regarding this heist on the high pond. Not high seas, high pond. Did he have a manatee sidekick? I gotta know. How do you take fingerprints when their fingers are pruny and wrinkly from being underwater for an hour? And another question, I think this is the most important one. As a society, should we really arrest people if the crime is hilarious? I mean, we should have a meeting about this. If it's a funny crime, it's kind of like, hey, thanks for the memories, buddy. Appreciate that. Now, just some final details on this story as I wrap it up. A picture was released by the agency showing the man appearing to spray paint a security camera. The employees described the man wearing tight clothing and a blue beanie. They said he was slim and approximately 5 feet 10. The owners of the Paddlefish floating restaurant referred all questions to the sheriff's office, where the investigation is ongoing. I have a suspicion that this is an inside job. Like, he knew the exact moment that the managers were going to be counting the cash. He knew where the cameras were, came and spray painted them, had it all just figured out, right? It's pretty ingenious, you have to admit, this whole salty heist with the floating restaurant. I mean, I can't even be mad at this Floridaman. You know what I mean? You go, Floridaman, you evil, wet genius. A 70-year-old Florida woman bites a pit bull to save her own dog in Orlando. Who is this brave, brave Florida woman? She bit a pit bull to save a dog. Brave, brave Florida woman, 70-year-old Shirley Pasmanic. Oh, Shirley. Shirley don't give a damn. Shirley is a badass. She fought off a pit bull to save her own dog during a sudden attack outside a grocery store. Shirley was leaving the store when a pit bull ran toward her 14-year-old dog, Sparky. Sparky! The pit bull latched onto Sparky. Oh, Sparky! Here's a quote from our brave, brave Florida woman, Shirley. She's the second brave Florida woman I've covered in this episode of Florida Friday. We have 2. The first one battled an alligator. Now Shirley's battling a pit bull. Here's her quote here. It just came out of nowhere, that pit bull, and then it bolted at us. I did everything I could. We ended up on the ground, me and Sparky. Surveillance video of the incident outside the grocery store shows Shirley, who weighs about 90 pounds, using her cane in her hands in an effort to pry off the pit bull. When that doesn't work, she resorted to biting the pit bull on the back of its neck. Here's a quote from Shirley, the badass. Well, I couldn't open his mouth to get my Sparky free, so I bit him. I had to. I'm 90 pounds. I got no strength. Yeah, but you got teeth in your mouth, Shirley. A mouth full of teeth. That's something. Something most Floridians can't say they have, because of the meth. Now, thankfully, Shirley's tactic of biting the pit bull back actually worked. The man then walked off with the dog on a leash. Wait a minute. The dog was on a leash the whole time? Connected to a man? Why doesn't the guy get involved that owns this pit bull? What is wrong with people? These pit bulls can be something, I tell you. I'm not going to say, yeah. Pit bulls have become political, right? Thankfully, anyway, Sparky survived this attack outside the grocery store, but he's very shaken, it says. Poor Sparky. He's going to have to get some therapy, some post-pit bull therapy, which I'm sure could be its own niche when it comes to therapy. Shirley credits her senior dog, Sparky, with giving her the strength and the purpose. Here's a quote from Shirley. Really, he's the reason some days I get up at all. You got to take care of your dog. I love my Sparky. Oh, it's great. It's nice to end the Florida Friday episode on a high note like this with wonderful Shirley, brave Shirley, and her dog Sparky. What I like about this story is it's still, although it's sort of normal, it's still Florida, right? Because dog bites man, not a story. Man bites dog, that's a story. Lady bites dog, that's Florida.
Imagine fast hydration combined with balanced energy, perfectly flavored with zero artificial sweeteners. Introducing Liquid IV's new Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free. Unlike other energy drinks, you know, the ones that make you feel like you're glitching, it's made with natural caffeine and electrolytes, so you get the boost without the burnout. Liquid IV's new Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free Hydrating Energy. Tap the banner to learn more.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and the Florida Friday episode of Weird AF News. And thank you to everybody who sent me Florida man stories the past couple days. Very helpful. Some people even slid them into my DMs, which is always encouraged. I'm on Instagram at FunnyJones if you'd like to follow me. And my email's funnyjones@gmail.com. Somebody bought me some coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. So let's give them some love and affection. It's the Divine Drummer. The Divine Drummer bought me coffees and wrote a note, a love note. It says, Jonesy, love the show. A comedic interlude in my morning news while enjoying my coffee. Peace from Montana. Enjoying life, parentheses. Enjoying life in Montana. And I assume drumming as well, just getting your drum on, which is amazing. Drinking coffee, listening to Weird AF News, drumming. It sounds to me like Divine Drummer knows exactly how to live a life, you know. I've never been to Montana, but I'm sure it's beautiful, especially this time of year. Well, that was really nice of Divine Drummer. Thank you for supporting the Weird AF News podcast. If you guys want to buy me some coffees or support the podcast the way Divine Drummer in Montana does, then please go to my website, weirdafnews.com, where you can buy me a coffee or join the Patreon or make a PayPal donation, all of these things. There is a link in the description of this podcast to buy merch if you'd like. All of these things are ways in which you can support Weird AF News, a one-man production in a closet doing news 5 days a week. Also, I know the economy is not so great for many of us, so maybe you don't have any monies at all. And so another way you can support the show, doesn't cost you anything, is to tell a friend over the weekend. Maybe you're at a barbecue or something. Maybe you're playing some softball or pickleball, you know. Maybe you're getting arrested. Just, you know, tell the police. Weird AF News, that's where it's at. Spread it. Doesn't cost you a thing. Anyways, I shouldn't be asking you for anything. I'm just grateful you spent some time with me, and I hope you'll continue to do so. And I hope you're having a lovely weekend, or you had one, or you were about to have one. But in the end, I just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you, wishing you the best, and good luck with your life, man. Got an alligator in my backyard, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Got an alligator in my patio, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Had an alligator at my birthday party, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. Had an alligator in the front seat of my Volkswagen, and nobody cared, 'cause it's Florida. Alligators everywhere, and nobody cares. In Florida, there's alligators everywhere, and nobody cares.